Hi everybody, this is Matthew Kenslow. In this video about book reviews, I thought I'd do something a bit different because, well, you'll see. I'm the royalty published author juggling the issues living with Asperger syndrome, which has been making a difference around the entire world and got a couple of awards already thus far, and it was only published last year and republished this year, so I'm very thankful for the help that this is doing for the autism community, and pretty soon it would even continue to go around the world like a billion times more. But in the meantime, I'm posting these book reviews that I receive on like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Goodreads, and such out of, appreciation. And I'm very appreciative of reading these reviews, and I love sharing them. A couple of them I need to give my input, and that's what this video is about. I'm going to be responding to two, and the first one is in India. So let's get to it. So this one was on Goodreads, and she also posted on Amazon in India. And she gave me a 2.5 out of 5 stars, which, she put 2 stars, but, she put that 0.5 there, so I'm appreciative of that. She did say it was good content, but very poorly written. So she written on both websites, dated the 20th of May 2020. This book is about the journey of a boy dealing with Asperger syndrome, falls in the autism spectrum, parenthetically. Asperger syndrome was in DSM-4, in DSM-5 it's not. It was nice to read a different point of view about things which normal people can find obvious, but can be a struggle for others. The book captured a pursuit of learning, growing, and struggling, then dealing very well. Chapter 7 onwards, we see the real juggling with the issues. Well, it sort of starts in chapter 3 and 4 with the speech delay and impediment and the novel long conversations as well. But yeah, then I do talk about, music and the catharsis of music, and then the juggling and the catharsis of juggling, and the U.S. presidents, because everybody with Asperger syndrome and autism, we, especially Asperger's, we could take something and really expand on it, memorize it, find patterns and things. And for me, it was the presidents of the United States. For others, it could be, something in science, or the periodic table, or molecules, or something like that. But anyway, moving on. However, I found the literary quality quite dull. It pulls the book down and down. It could have been written way better. It felt more like a raw personal diary. But I am glad that somebody at least wrote about all these, giving an emic perspective. I hope people struggling with the issue gets this much opportunity. So thank you very much. I kind of bit like the fact that, how she worded, personal diary. Well, actually, I more like find it interesting. Like, I guess when you put it into perspective, it could be viewed as a diary by certain people. For the literary quality, I've been writing since like 1st or 2nd grade on a variety of things like nonfiction and such. But I wanted all of it to be published, but it never got published and such. But that's the perspective of the reader. What it's one of my favorite quotes from a famous author from decades ago when he wrote. I heard him say something to the effect that it's not what the author puts into it, it's what the reader gets out of it. And this sort of goes to prove that not every author, no matter how good or fairly good that person is, can't reach through to everybody. So I responded back to her on Goodreads, thanking her, and I added, "I appreciate your review, and I apologize how there were parts that you considered a little dry. Everybody's perspective is unique." I'm not sure if you've read the bestseller Look Me in the Eye by John Elder Robison. I have the book, and I hear it's good. That may possibly present a world in a way that you would enjoy more. I would personally recommend Maybe Autism is My Superpower, written by a 13-year-old. They have a great Facebook page with videos answering questions about Asperger's from a first-hand perspective. Hope these help, and have a great day. And then she replied, "Thank you for suggesting. I will look into it." So what I really care about is that people understand Asperger syndrome, autism. Give us a word in edgewise. Stop discriminating against us. Learn to be nice for once, and just accept us for who we are. That's what my heart is, and I see that around the world, that there's a rise of acceptance, but not 100%. I mean, believe me, every time I exit my apartment, almost every single time I'm in the community, there's at least a few people that think I shouldn't belong. I shouldn't be living. I shouldn't, be here in their presence. I shouldn't be living in the city. I shouldn't be living in the state. I'm sure they think so. I see it all, and that's what pushed me to continue to write this. And write this. But if you get the message in here or elsewhere, then that's all I care about. And so the next review was 3 stars, and it was actually by a fellow autistic named Jasmine, and I recently found out that she also posted the review on Amazon in the United Kingdom. But she says, "Juggling the Issues is a personal memoir exploring autism and how it affects people every day. As a person with ASD myself, or autism spectrum disorder, this was definitely of interest to me. My first comment is that the personality of the author really does shine through. It is evident that Matthew has the best of intentions. However, within the first page, I realized that the book was further niched, and I was excluded from this niche. This is a book not just aimed at Aspies, but at highly religious Aspies, with Christian text interspersed throughout." So I'll pause right there, and of course I responded to this on Goodreads, and I'll read that too. But I was kind of a little worried that people might think that she did read my first Axiom Press book from 2019. This is River Birch Press, and there's a couple of just a couple of changes. And in the preface, as you can see here, I've written that throughout this book I incorporated several passages from the Bible and discussed my Christian faith. These are quotes that I live by and hide in my heart. I take comfort in the scriptures. I apply these quotes in my life just like other people apply other quotes for their lives. I respect that. This book does not necessarily impose the Christian faith and leaves the door open for each individual reader. The sole purpose of this book is to help the reader understand who we, the people of autism spectrum disorder, are. Again, all the stories I tell are to provide examples of how I never allowed autism to have the prerogative to slow me down. And also then I go on to say that I'm not in competition with anybody. Just like, if I was in competition with anybody, would I bring this up? See, I'm not in competition with anybody, and not just that, but the Aspie world, and maybe autism is my superpower, and special books by special kids. But anyway, I just wanted to say that. So it is aimed at Aspies, well, pretty much autism in general, as well as to everybody who's not autistic, so that they could gain awareness and ultimately acceptance. So this isn't necessarily to highly religious Aspies or autistics. Like when I said that, other people apply quotes to their lives. This could be from influentials, maybe sports players, maybe other religious leaders, or other religious texts and such. I know that this is a little bit, maybe hard for some people to understand, but if you're a Christian, you understand. Like, I'm a Christian, and I'm not ashamed to admit that, and I do hope that everybody gets saved. If you're curious, just read 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 1 to 4, and that's like a very important passage to start out with. And I do pray for everybody. I pray for all the readers, and just everybody in general. I am not religious. I am part of a relationship. That's the part that may be a little confusing to some people, but if you're a Christian, a true Christian, you should understand that. So I'm just throwing that out there because she said that I was writing to highly religious Aspies. with Christian texts interspersed throughout. Again, like what I said in here was it doesn't impose, but she read my original one in the 2019 version, but this is the new version, so hopefully everybody reading starting with a preface will now understand where I'm coming from. I just don't want to. I mean, I hope that what I do, like the main message, gets out about autism, and that I am a Christian, and that my faith in God is the reason why I'm still living here today. The reason I'm still here today, the hope that I have, and I want to share that hope and such. I talk a lot about going to church, and a lot of it, I put that there because church gave me a lot of opportunity, ushering, Royal Rangers, the cameras and directing, being on the game show, so many other things because of church, and I'm very highly thankful for that. But this is a book about autism, and I could say more if anyone asks, but anyway, moving on. This was definitely a turnoff for me and led to me struggling to push through even the first few pages. I also found the sentences to appear a little clumsy and disjointed, not smooth and flowing in the way that takes a nonfiction to an essential study. It wasn't until chapter 4 that my attention was piqued as the book began to visit the social issues that impact my life too. And it was very sweet from here on in to get to know the author and his hopes and fears. With that being said, it was not a book for me, more diary than social commentary, with many chapters unnecessary and the main message at times unclear. I do, however, real quick, I will say that I will always give, an answer to what I've written and stand back with what I said. So in the future, news, podcast, radio, any host, or even if I'm just, at a church, library, school, conference, wherever, you could always just ask me, like, what did I mean by this? If it was unclear, if I could expand, I'd be happy to do that. In fact, I mean, this book, just to say, I mean, I didn't necessarily write this book believing that I write this and I get everything out. I want to, write the most important things, and then I could always say things, later, like if asked for more detail and such, if that makes sense. And also I have a trilogy coming, like 3 more books, which is fiction, and the main character lives in the 50s and the 60s, and he has Asperger syndrome. And of course back in the 50s and the 60s, all that was new with Asperger syndrome and the doctor Hans Asperger. And also I've written that in here if you're curious about that. Anyway, I do, however, commend the author for embarking on such a journey and learning to love himself and his God with such sincerity. He is unafraid to be vulnerable and lay himself completely bare, and that commands the highest of respect. Favorite quote: "Just as juggling gets easier with practice, so shall holding conversations and advocacy be for everybody." So thank you, Jasmine, for that review. And yeah, I'm glad that you read it. I'm glad that you expressed your opinions about it. And yes, that quote, "Just as juggling gets easier with practice, so shall holding conversation and advocacy be for everybody." I mean, that's why I say to everybody, if I could do these things, you can too. You have a purpose, you have a calling, and everything. So thank you again for that. I've replied back to her and I said, "Thank you, Jasmine. I appreciate you letting me know, and I feel honored that you quoted me and commended me of my courage. Just to say, I hope you didn't feel indoctrinated. My book is being republished, well, it already is right now, so I amended the preface to say that the book doesn't impose the Christian faith and leaves it up to the reader. The important message and goal is to understand Asperger's. I hope all goes well with you in your life. It may not be as easy as other people who are not on the spectrum, but keep it up and stay strong, Jasmine. Have a great day." And to which I have not heard a reply yet. So anyway, that's basically the 2 reviews I want to talk about. I actually found these two reviews on the same day at SCCWRP because I was a scientist this summer, a biogeochemist, for my undergraduate research for a bachelor's in biochemistry that I'm working toward, which I should get by next spring. But I remember I was being on the computers, and it's like I just now, for the first time, saw these reviews, and they were both between 2 and 3 stars. So I had that in my brain, in my mind, the entire time that the scientist, the one with the PhD, was actually showing me how to do these things, and I was like having all these things in my mind, like because I need to respond to this as quickly as possible and such, so that they just, at least one doesn't, have the wrong idea and such, which I've addressed in this video. So I also found it interesting. I mean, not only did I see these both on the same day, but one came from India, the other one I later found out came from the United Kingdom, and they both used the word diary, and I said it, or I read that on the same day, both of them. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. I guess to some it may appear to be a diary, but it's more trying to help people. But not every author can't reach through to every single, like, 7.8 billion people, and that's just in this generation. So anyway, that's what I have to say about that. Thank you for reading, everybody, and if you want more reviews, you could check out my playlist. I have a couple of playlists about autism awareness and acceptance, as well as my journey toward authorship, in which that's still in the works. So anyway, thank you very much, and have an excellent day.